Back in 1947, the boss of a Swedish aircraft builder, Svenska Aeroplan Bolaget, was sat in his office pondering his company's future over a glass of Swedish vodka and some smorgasbord. The problem was he wasn't selling enough planes, and he knew that to sell more planes, he needed to get the general public to buy them. One problem there, planes are out of most people's reach. So he came up with a plan. He decided to dispense with the wings and instead get his aircraft engineers to design a totally new car. Svenska Aeroplan Bolaget became known as Saab, and the rest, as they say, is history. And a few years on in the history lesson, Saab are launching a new model, the 95. Will it keep up with their reputation for great turbos, a smooth, graceful ride and a high level of spec? The cabin is certainly packed with high levels of innovation and a great standard of equipment, but of course it's on the road performance that actually counts, so let's give it a go. First problem is, where's the ignition? Is this some kind of Swedish intelligence test for the uninitiated? No, in keeping with Saab's traditions, the ignition is mounted here in the centre of the console next to the handbrake, which when you actually think about it is a far more logical place to find it anyway, particularly if, like me, you're left-handed. Saab's smooth ride quality has been enhanced if it were possible. You almost float along on even the roughest of road conditions. The 2.3 litre engine that we tested has plenty of pulling power, not just at acceleration, but also in the mid-range. And behind the wheel, well, the 9.5 feels solid and grips well. This really is a great cruising car, but just let down a little bit by the fact that it should be slightly more direct in the steering. Well, the 9.5 is the third addition to Saab's range, but it doesn't replace anything, does it?
No, Ginny, we're going to carry on with the 9000 till the end of the decade, and the very successful 900 carries on. But this is an all-new premium car for us, in addition to the range.
So you're attacking the 5 Series buyers and the Audi buyers.
How do you think? The Volvo and the Mercedes and the Aspiras.
All those people.
Yeah.
How is Saab, how are you going to stand out? What do you offer that the others don't?
Well, I think Saab's always been known as really mixing very good performance, good fun driving with very safe driving.
This is your second collaboration with General Motors, isn't it? So is this a pure Saab, or are there a few Americanisms in there, do we think?
No, I think it's a very, very Saab product. The Swedish engineers are very, very independent.
So they've decided what they want and they've gone for it.
Absolutely, designed the platform to suit the car.
Right, and as you say, there are still a lot of traditional Saab styling cues in there. What do we find that's pure Saab, do you think?
Pure Saab, well, I think the attention to detail. The engine, of course, is now totally turbo, whether you go from the 2 litre to the V6 or the full turbo. All eco-power engines now.
So what do we find under the bonnet? What's in the engine range?
Engine range, well, we start off at 2 litre. So you're going to have a 2.3 V6 and in the autumn next year, a full turbo. And of course, how will it be priced? Priced? Well, this pricing, we think we've been very aggressive. The actual price entry starts at 21,995 on the road, which is a very, very aggressive price if you consider the specification with things like air conditioning as standard and those famous head restraints. Well, it's 50 years now for the plane builder turned car manufacturer. How important is the success of the 9.5 in Britain to the success of the 9.5, as a whole? Yeah, it's very important. Britain are taking around 16% of worldwide sales at the moment. In fact, the second most important market to America. So you can rest assured they're very, very keen to see us succeed with the car. And why should British buyers go up and out and buy the 9.5? Well, I think it's fun to drive, and I think you can say that it's the perfect synthesis of performance and safety. Once you get inside the cabin of the 9.5, there's an undeniable sense of luxury, a feeling that if you were to own this car, then you'd be doing pretty much all right for yourself. Now, at first glance, it may seem like there's a bewildering array of buttons and knobs here in front of you. But what this wraparound dash does, which is a familiar sight in all Saabs, is make sure that everything is within easy reach, and it really doesn't take you long to become familiar to where things are.
Now, as you would expect from a car in this class, there's a very, very high standard of equipment levels. Now, before I go through the whole list, why not just take a look at a few of the more ingenious ones? There are 15 storage compartments and cup holders on this vehicle, and I think this is the cleverest cup holder I've ever seen. You're driving on a nice bright sunny day like this, well, you don't want to get glare from the side window. Simple, flip it over and there you have a double sun visor. Again, perfect for this hot weather is air conditioning, which comes as standard. But how many vehicles do you know where there's a refrigerated glove box? Perfect for keeping all that chocolate cold on those long drives. The car does have pollen filters, but in addition to that, there are, wait for it, odour filters. And you know, it's not just the things that make day-to-day driving easily and more enjoyable that Saab have thought about. They've also given an incredible amount of thought to safety. You can drive content in the knowledge you have ABS, front and side airbags, anti-submarine seats, impact beams, and a head restraint to protect you from whiplash, to name just a few. Saab are famed for the comfort of their seats. They actually work with orthopaedic specialists at the design stage, and these are a model of ergonomic delight. They're not too soft that you can't feel the car's movements, not too hard that they become uncomfortable. There's an array of electronic positions for the seat, there's even seat ventilation and a steering wheel that adjusts for both height and for reach. With all this choice, I challenge any of you not to find the perfect position for you. And when you consider the comfort, the driving capabilities and the high levels of spec, this Swede should certainly give the Germans a run for their money.